My name is Dave Cooper.
I am Andrea Pippins.
I'm an artist, designer, and musician. Have kind of a multidisciplinary background.
I'm Jen Cooper.
My name is Amy Sherald.
I was born and raised in Baltimore, and I'm a photographer and filmmaker.
And I work as a children's book author and illustrator, which I've been doing for about a decade now, which I can't believe. I went to school for graphic design. I worked for companies like Hallmark Cards, TV Land, Nick at Night, the cable networks, and then went back to school to get my master's to study graphic design again, and then taught for several years at Stevenson University, MICA, and a few others.
I originally grew up in New Mexico, but I moved to Baltimore for the art school. I think I had discovered like the city's like art and music scene like while I was in college, and really the community here is what kept me in Baltimore for the most part. I spent a little bit of time elsewhere after college.
I am a writer and an all-around creative force.
Powerhouse.
I live in the New York area. I lived in Baltimore for 15 years, attended graduate school there, but I'm from Georgia. I'm a painter, consider myself an American realist. I paint people and I make portraits, but I really consider them archetypes and they represent bigger ideas.
When I moved there, I didn't necessarily think of myself as having a practice, like an art practice, even though I was making art. But getting involved in the community, like doing art markets or going to artists' talks and events and gallery shows, I started to develop my own practice and making these connections with other artists. And I always felt welcomed. I didn't feel like resources were inaccessible or information or anything was like not out of reach. There was always someone who knew someone else who could connect you to this or to that.
To create in Baltimore, I think first I feel like the first thing that comes to mind is Baltimore makes it easier. There's kind of a moniker the city has that Baltimore is the city of easy living. I think you can kind of transfer that to being a creative as well.
Baltimore is just full of people that care about community, that want to get stuff done. This is a city full of leaders, if you will. And I think that's what makes it so great.
It's a place that, I think because of that sort of lack of competitive, sort of more collegial and collaborative atmosphere, I think it's like a great place for people to make connections in a really great way. And this is a city that I think experimentation is really valued. I think it's a place that you can try something new and fail at, or do something like on a budget and not necessarily sort of have the expectation that you need to have it be this like super huge, like, professional polished thing. You can take some risks.
There's a real energy, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like you're up against it, right? Like you're the underdog. So you got to fight a little bit harder. And in terms of art, that makes you more creative, which means that not everybody's going to get it. And I think like attracts like, and also the community kind of encourages that experimentation. And again, this is the place to experiment. I think that's the real beauty of it.
Yeah, because I think we just generously and graciously hold each other up. I have not personally experienced a lot of competition or feeling like, people hoarding resources or information. I think it's always been a matter of like, oh, I know, like if I can't take on this opportunity, I know 10 other people that I can recommend for this thing, or let's do this together, or, what's happening, we can join forces to make something come alive.
People come there and they stay for a reason. And I think, it being in the vicinity of New York and Philadelphia, but not being New York and Philadelphia, makes it affordable and a place that people can settle down and, build a life, have a studio practice. And I don't know, it's just, it's It's not why it got its name, Charm City, but it has its charm.